Hello. Happy Wednesday, April 5th. Today we are talking about working on your business versus working in your business. And this actually came up in our group programs this week, specifically with our Exceed. Oh my gosh, hear myself. Whoops, sorry about that. We were having the Exceed program is for our more advanced mobile bars. They're at least six figures in revenue and climbing upwards to multiple six figures. And at that stage of the game, what we want to see is more working on your business versus in your business. And one of our group clients actually asked the question, exactly what does that mean? What is working on? Like, what are things that you would do working on your business versus working in your business? Which I'm like, awesome, let's make a chart. And then I got to thinking, after a meeting I had with one of our Academy members yesterday, in that they hear that so much and so often that they were feeling like they needed to do more working on the business. But they were in the very beginning stages of their business, and you just don't have the capacity to move to work on your business as much when you're in the beginning. And so I actually went through and created a guide that will help you identify what stage of the business you're in, what it looks like to work on your business versus in your business. And my corgi has something he's not supposed to. Hold on. Hey, drop it. Oh, he's such a butt. And some tasks and things that you should be working on when you're working on your business, and things that you should be doing that are considered working in your business. And so as I'm going through this, if you guys want to drop questions, I can see them. But this lesson might be a little lengthier than most because it is real content and concept heavy. But to help us work through this, I'm going to put my little head all the way down at the bottom here. Here we are. Okay. So for some reason, I will have to take my face away from me. So hopefully you guys can see me. Okay. So what does it look like to work on your business versus working in your business? Visionary activities working on your business would be to define a company's long-term goal and direction. Working in your business is managing that day-to-day stuff, the operations, staff management, buying inventory, sanitizing coolers, right? That stuff is working in your business. In regards to strategy, if you're working on your business, you're developing your marketing plans, you're creating sales funnels and partnerships. If you're working in your business, you're planning and executing events, you're coordinating logistics, vendors, etc. For financials, working on your business, you're reviewing things, you're making projections, your budget, your forecast for cash flow. Whereas working in your business is actually managing that cash flow, creating budgets, analyzing profitability. I just said budgets twice. Creating the budget is working in your business. Using the budget, looking at it and saying, we don't have the money for that, or we do have the money for that, is working on your business. Leadership, working on your business, hiring and developing a strong team, creating company culture. In your business, training employees, managing staff, and resolving conflicts. Innovation, on your business, researching new technologies, products, or services. In your business, refining existing processes, improving efficiencies, and reducing costs. Networking, if you're working on your business, you're building relationships with industry influencers and partners. Whereas if you're working in your business, you're meeting with clients, you're attending the industry events, the networking, and the vendors. Okay, let me see if there's any questions. I have to click. No questions so far. I'm just going to keep going. So what percentage of time should you as a CEO spend working on your business strategy, vision, all that good stuff, versus working in your business? And if you are in the startup phase of your business, you should only spend about 20% of your time working on your business and the rest of the 80% working in your business, right? If you're a mobile bar, my suggestion is that when you're in startup mode, the working in your business would be almost everything aside from bartending. And I know that that's a little bit controversial because it's often 50% of this industry are bartenders. And so like that's their comfort zone. That's why they got into it. It's also, as I've said in the past, the least expensive thing, the most time consuming thing, and the least expensive thing for you to hire out. $20 an hour on average. What else in your business are you doing that you could hire someone for less than $20 an hour, right? So in the very beginning, if you had to give up one thing so that you had time to work on your business instead of in your business, I would say let someone else tend your bars. That being said, if you're like, hell no, Sarah, that's not happening, that's okay. You can pick some other stuff, or you just limit your growth, right? So if you are spending 80% of your time working in your business and only 20% of working on your business, your growth might be a little bit slower if you don't have the time to spend on visibility, marketing. And honestly, we've talked about this before. A lot of times you guys are leaving the visibility work for like the end of whatever you have left. If you have any time or any capacity, then you work on visibility. That stuff is working on your business stuff. And so if you find that you don't have time for that, something has to give, because that's the most important part. Of the time of working on your business, I would say 50% of that should be visibility work. Once you hit the growth stage, we're 50-50, all right? Expansion stage, 80% working on your business and only 20% working in your business. And then maturity, 90-10. All right, let me see if we have any questions so far. No questions. Okay, awesome. So what does it look like to be in the startup phase? You guys are probably the most familiar with this. So you're going to be like, I already know, I'm in it. Product development, sales, customer service, day-to-day operations. And the other 20% of your time developing your business plan, establishing your company culture, creating systems and processes for the future. You know that you're moving into the growth stage when working on your business looks like working in your business looks like managing employees, overseeing operations and customer service. And then working on your business looks like developing new marketing strategies, exploring new business opportunities, and creating new products or services. Now, you may not know if you're kind of new to this sphere. I am a big proponent of one core product for one core niche clientele for 1 year. And so not until you move into the growth stage or the scale stage would you, in my opinion, or should you be introducing new products or services. So once you hit the growth stage, you have more capacity to do that. Then we move on to stage 3, expansion or stabilize. So this is when you're going from 80% working on your business to 20% working in your business. So when you are working in your business, you should be focusing on things like customer service and managing employees. The rest of the time, you want to be looking at long-term strategies, exploring new markets, maybe expanding, franchising, or adding another bar, etc. Or expanding your company's product or service offerings. When a business transitions into maturity, when they're 90% on their business and 10% in their business, again, customer service, managing employees, that should be the vast majority of what you're doing in the business. But then with the remaining 90% of your time, you're, again, new products or services, expanding into new markets, building strategic relationships. Now, what does this look like? All right, here's a little chart. The transitioning from startup to growth, when do you know? How do you know? 1, increasing revenue, expanding customer base, hiring of employees. So if you don't have any employees, you're still in startup mode. Developing new products or services and building brand awareness, right? If nobody knows who you are, if you don't have a ton of market visibility, then you're still in startup phase. Once you start to have those things, regular cash flow, a larger customer base, all that stuff, then you know that you've kind of transitioned into growth. In regards to how do you know when you're moving from growth to expansion, entering new markets, diversifying your offerings, establishing strategic partnerships, and securing external funding. We actually went through a whole lesson on with the Exceed program on economies of scale. And part of that lesson is all about utilizing other people's money to grow your business. But you really won't have enough business credit, or you won't be a sure enough bet for banks or any lenders until you get anywhere from the growth to the expansion stage. How do you know when you're moving from expansion to maturity? You have an established customer base, stable revenue, established brand, efficient offerings or operations, and established market positions. So efficient operations. If you have not standardized your procedures yet, then you couldn't consider yourself a mature business. If you don't have an established customer base, you're not quite there at maturity. Stable revenue. If you're still like badoop, 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 you have struggles with cash flow, so that it's feast or famine, then again, not yet at the maturity stage. And that's the end of the lesson. Oh my gosh, it wasn't nearly as long as I thought it was. I must have talked really fast. What questions do people have? What stages are people in? Do you guys think that you're spending the proper ratio of time in each of these stages? Even putting together this lesson, I identified that I was probably not yet at the percentage that I should be. And so myself and Dawn, my COO, had a conversation around that. What are the things that I'm still doing that are working in the business that I should be offboarding to work on the business so that we can continue to grow? Was this helpful? Did people find this helpful? I would love to see you guys in the comments section. Let me know. Let's put my face back there. And also, after the lesson portion is just open Q&A. So if you have questions about anything small business related, mobile bar related, beverage related, it can be about the lesson or not. This is the one time where people get to pick my brain. For those of you who know, I absolutely hate that term, but this is that time. And while we wait, if you guys have any merch links that you want to drop, I'm still buying mobile bar merch. Yes. Oh, I love that comment. I agree. Growing small at first is best. It keeps cash flow in check. I call this organic growth. I call it that, but I think it's actually the term. And a great example of this that I saw in real life, this restaurant opened up 5 years ago in East Nashville, where I used to live. And it was just like a really tiny restaurant, but they had have amazing margaritas, and they used to be $3.99 with fresh pressed lime juice. Like, it was a loss leader. They were making no money off these margaritas. But we would go every week because the margaritas were so good, they were inexpensive, and the staff and the owner was so friendly. And he started getting really busy, run out of parking. There were super long lines. And so he's like, I got to get a bigger space. And so we got a bigger space, but it was like very bare. Right. And then we went back last night. And the first time we'd been there in a year, this thing has 3 bars. It's got a huge outdoor space. It's all fenced in. And he really just added on as his business could afford it. He never took like a big loan. He never and it was just real organic growth. He let the business pay for the business's growth. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever utilize other people's capital to grow your business, because growth is capital hungry. And so if you want to grow, and sometimes you want to grow fast, that does require a cash contribution, because you either spend time or you spend money. Those are the only 2 things that you in order to grow: spend time or spend money. Felicia, you feel like all of your time is spent on marketing your bar, and my question is, at what point do you decide to maybe look at different areas of marketing? I live in a very small town that just doesn't seem to take very kind to my business. Interesting. Oh, I would love to dig into that a little bit more, because One, we would hope that there was market or validation at some point during your beginning stages, that you identified a need and then you confirmed that there was a market or demand for that product and how you were showing up. Um, and then also ensuring that your marketing messaging resonates with your ideal client. And so, if you live in an area, for example, I have a coaching client that was in our group program a while ago, lives in a farm town in Idaho, I think, and not a huge population base, and the population there was very used to $5 Bud Lights. And so and she focused primarily on beer. People in her area really like beer. Had she opened a wine truck, it probably didn't matter how much she marketed it. It just wasn't going to sell very well, right? Because the community that she was familiar with was beer focused, very salt of the earth people. And so market research there is really important, figuring out who is in your town, what need, desire, demands do they have, what messaging resonates with them, and are you talking to them directly, right? If your and I think I've given this example before, but I used to have this council member, and he had like a PhD in like philosophy or something, and he used to write these newsletters that were in like college level reading. And no, like I have a master's degree, but even I had like look up words reading this thing, and no one's got time for that, right? And so he had to go through this process of uh, recreating his messaging and how he spoke to people in order for people to resonate with what he was saying. And so sometimes it's less about spending time on doing marketing tasks and making sure that what you're saying is the right thing and it's targeting the right people. And so if what you're currently saying and what you're currently offering doesn't seem to like connect with the people in your area, my suggestion is to go back to what I always recommend in all my programs to be one of the first few steps, and that's informational interviews. Anytime you launch a new product, a new service, or anything, you should do a couple of informational interviews to see, is this something you would want? What features would you like to see? When would you use this? How much would you pay for this? What would be your favorite part of working with, this product or service, etc. So that would be my suggestion there. What's the best way to calculate how much alcohol to purchase? I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to send you to the Full Bar calculator. It's free to use. You can use it as often as you want. Let me see. I'll drop it right here. It's online. It's a website. And you just go in and you put the event details in there, and it's going to tell you how much alcohol to purchase. But make sure if you are purchasing the alcohol that you have a liquor license. Otherwise, your client or your guest needs to be the one purchasing the alcohol. But you can create their shopping list for them. What else? What other questions do we have about business, mobile bars? It could be operations related, marketing related, finance related. Yeah, hiring employees. What's the best way to figure out the percentage I take and what I am paying the employee? In my area, it's about $25 to $40 per hour for services. Just trying to figure out what's fair, I guess. It's a good question. I don't love the idea of having a price and then trying to decide what percentage to give to your staff. The way that I like to teach pricing is that you start with your costs. So if pick a cost, I don't know, $30 seems to be somewhere in between there. If you have $30 per hour, how many hours? With your profit margin, the four-part sorry about that. Four-part pricing that I teach includes cost, the time. For your time, you're going to hire, train, onboard, all of that, right? And then your service fee. And after your service fee covers ancillary squishy costs. So utilities, telephone, all the business related costs of running a business, and then your markup, your profit. And so I would, if you are working your events, I would charge for your time in working the events plus your bartender's time, and then mark it up with those other additional things I said, and then that would be your pricing to the client. So I'm not sure if you say if your 25 to 40 is what clients pay or what you pay the bartenders. But I don't love the idea of saying, well, it's a $300 event, and that's just, I'm pulling that out of my butt. $300 event, and I get 60% and they get 40. I don't love that. I like charging my clients the way that I pay for them, and then for me to have a really solid understanding of what I'm going to pay people based on the variable that's applicable to the event. So by hour or by shift. I personally did shift pay instead of hourly pay, because I hate messing with clock ins and clock outs for payroll. It annoys me. Yeah, Paul, definitely think of a good question. Especially since you're the one that made the biggest amount of noise when Q&As stopped happening. So you should be full of questions. Yeah, you're welcome, Janae. What do you recommend for marketing your mobile bar, like places to reach out, etc.? And is working festivals, selling mocktails in the beginning stage of your mobile bar business worth doing? Okay, let's unpack this. I teach a multi-pronged visibility approach. Matter of fact, we have one coming up on May 1st. It is a full day wherein we create the entire visibility strategy for your year. And it's a rinse and repeat, so you can use it every single year. And we go through all of the different aspects of a visibility strategy. So if you go back and watch last week's live, I actually talk about those things. So networking, cold outreach, newsletter, all of that. If you listen to today's podcast that was released, which you can find anywhere, Apple, Spotify, I actually have an interview with a venue owner, and I'm a big proponent of targeting amplifiers instead of end users. So I don't want to go out there and try and get 50 brides to book me. I want to get 5 venues that have 50 brides each to recommend me. So that's where my personal marketing efforts were always focused, was on the amplifiers, not on the end users. As for working festivals, selling mocktails, what is your goal? If your goal is to make money, it would really depend on the festival, how many other food vendors were there, what time of day it is, what exactly you wanted to sell, etc. Right? There's a lot of, if you're doing festivals, you have to have a food permit, all of that stuff. Sometimes, like lemonade stands, crush it at the flea market. You know what I mean? On a hot summer's day, they do great revenue. There's great profit margins, and you get a lot of visibility. But it just really, really depends on the scenario. People in open public settings, unless it's like a high demand item, like lemonade, for example, I don't know I know what I'm getting with a lemonade. Would I get a fojito? Maybe, but maybe not. So I think it's festivals are a beast. You don't know how many people are going to show up. You don't know what the flow is going to be. And it's an entirely different business model than private events. And so I'm not opposed to it, especially if you're looking to get visibility and you're just like, I got nothing else to do anyways. But I've also seen people spend a lot of time, a lot of money prepping and doing the festival thing, and then it not being worth a whole lot of money for them. So talk about the software you used. Okay, let me get back to that. Oh my, so many softwares. Takara says, how soon should you invest in something like HoneyBook or eCinch? I think to be truly successful with either HoneyBook or eCinch, you need to have a really good handle on your packaging and your pricing. It also helps if you have already fleshed out your lead funnel, your follow-up game. How often do you want to follow up? What do you want to say when you follow up? So I don't necessarily think that you need a CRM or even eCinch straight out the gate. But when you get to the point where you're like, every time I get a request for a proposal, it takes me so much time and it's just not efficient, then it's probably time to utilize something like a CRM or eCinch. But if you invest in eCinch or a CRM without having the basic details of your business down, then you're just going to get really frustrated, which is unfortunately a reality that I see in a lot of my group programs is that they invest in Dubsado, they invest in HoneyBook, and now they have to set it up, and it's just a beast. Do you have a good follow-up email that you're willing to share? I have an entire follow-up email sequence in the Mobile Bar Academy. So if you're not in there, I highly recommend it. It is literally the best investment you can make for your business. It will pay for itself over and over and over and over and over again. I hear every day almost how people are just like, man, it's the best investment. I should have done this forever ago. But yeah, I have that and so much more in there. Let's see. Okay, talk about the software that I used. I was a Dubsado fan over HoneyBook. If you are not technical, HoneyBook is easier. Dubsado has more functionality. I used When I Work for scheduling. A lot of people in my groups use Homebase and they really like it. And Homebase can also be used for payroll. I like Gusto for payroll. I found they were just super, I use them still for payroll. I like them a lot. I tried a bunch of others, but that one's the one that I like the most. For bank, Novo. I'm a Profit First practitioner and I will go to the grave doing that. And Novo makes it super easy. You can create reserves and whenever you get a deposit, it will automatically do the disbursements for you. And that just is, it's so easy. So I'm a huge fan of Novo. What other softwares? Obviously Google Suites, all of that, good stuff. I am new to business and I'm so tempted to invest in all the decor product supplies to make it look attractive like other seasons bars. How do you limit, or is it important when first starting? What do you recommend starting off with? What's important? I love this question because the most successful bar owners that I know of, and I'm talking $1 million mobile bar owners, started off with a 6-foot table and a black tablecloth. Now, I know that mobile bars are out here saying, we elevate the experience from the 6-foot table, black tablecloth. I know that because I said it myself. And every single time I have a client and we're working on mission, vision, value work, they're like, elevate the bar. We create the unique experience. We have all the things. None of that's making them money. It just isn't. The most successful mobile bars that I know of started off and then grew slowly without all the song and dance and the flashy stuff. So, and if you go back and watch kind of some of my previous lessons, I'm a big proponent of protecting your cash flow. I don't even recommend buying a rig until your business can sustain paying for a rig. Because oftentimes people identify their success or their who they are to the market to their rig. But if the rig gets in an accident, you still have a business, right? But that business needs to be about more than your rig. So if you can afford all of the equipment and the Raz and Daz, then go for it. But just having decor for the sake of having decor is going to clutter your life. And make you go crazy. I'm working with a caterer right now, and she is that person who like has been in business 20 years and she just keeps buying decor. And she's like, I have so much decor, but it's taken me 20 years to have decor that's now back in style. She's like, every year the seasons change and I have to buy different decor to fit what people are looking for that year. And for me, I'm like, I'm not in the decor business. If my bride or my clients want decorations, they have a florist, they have an event designer, they have an event planner. And so if I have a lot of decor and it just isn't that person's taste, then I got shit just kicking around the house waiting for somebody to use it, right? So that's my decor rant. How do you handle people that call instead of book a consultation call online? Just happened today. Then they get frustrated. I can't explain the half-hour presentation that we do. Well, I'm a big believer in being available. because, and I teach this again in the visibility workshop, y'all get in there. The people are at different buying stages. And if you're getting a phone call from someone, they are a hot lead. That means that they are either a willful buyer, an intellectual buyer, or an intuitive buyer. Well, anybody's all those things. But if they're giving you a call, that's a really good sign. If it takes you 30 minutes to convince somebody to book you, then we need to work on that sales script, because it never took me that long. It doesn't usually take my clients that long. And that sort of sales call really should be saved for like super expensive, large ticket events. Okay, so willful, intellectual, and intuitive. An intuitive buyer just wants to know where to pay. They don't even want the spiel. They just want, like, send me the invoice, right? And they probably aren't scheduling a call because they're like, I want to do this right now. The intellectual buyers, they only have a couple questions and then they just want to pay. The willful buyer has lots of questions, and those are the people that are going to want to schedule a call with you. And so those are the people that probably do schedule a call with you, is because they're willful. They have lots of questions. They've done all the research. They've read the website. They've read all your emails, and they want to talk, to you in a scheduled framework. Intellectual and intuitive buyers, if they're calling you, time is of the essence. And so they just want to know that they can get quick answers. And if they're like, I don't really want to have a 30-minute conversation with someone in order to book their services, then you're standing in between, you're creating friction is one of the things that I teach. You want to make it as frictionless as possible for people to get from, hey, I'm interested, to take my money. Well, that's it, guys. We filled up all 32 minutes of this lesson today. Hopefully you come away with a good understanding of like what stage your business is in, how much time you should be spending on your business versus in your business, and when to start making the transition of offloading more of those working in your business things as you grow, so that you can optimize the use and the value of your time. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.